I got lucky. The vacancy I found was air conditioning, so I have an air conditioning. I'm sure there's some hard road ahead, but that's just the way it works. And I think I'll stay there because I'm so but she's like gonna move everybody around. She's worried about us together. Yeah, because right now we're all like the way they've done it before is when there's vacancies, they just make vacancies. Yeah, and so like there's kindergarten classrooms that are kindergarten bathrooms, and then there's like second graders in kindergarten. So I'm sure there's
No.
Not library. Sorry.
Oh, for
Public
the
safety.
Yes.
But I'm in 8th grade, so I'm already in that there's so I'm
no, I printed it out and wrote it in.
oh, I'm a crazy. I wasn't.
Oh, you could fill in the PDF. Yeah, you should be able to convert it to a photo PDF.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, which is kind of dependent, what I found at work, and maybe you've had the same experience, is whichever PDF you have.
Right, if you've got Adobe like Acrobat, then you can convert something to a
Costs
fillable
money,
form.
but yeah, might be worth getting a free trial or something, so we can actually read everything without problem.
If it's, since it's city business, it's evaluation of city employee, I wonder if you could use a city machine that has an Acrobat license.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, you could probably request to use that type of one.
Okay, I'll welcome everyone to the meeting and thank you all for coming. As you know, if you haven't been in this room before, this is the children's section of the library. We're meeting here because fighting tax people are using the room, and we have a lot of community members coming in for tax forms. So thanks for providing that service, Maxine. That's awesome. It's amazing to see how many people come in and use that. So, anyway, so have the meeting called to order. We're all present. As you know, we're short one board member, so those that are here. The next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do you have any amendments or things to add to the agenda? Okay, so we'll have we need to make a motion if it's already that way.
I think we need to make a motion to
Okay.
approve the agenda.
We have a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the March 9th meeting. Thank you for submitting those, Josh.
Pretty sure it all looks right.
I know Jessica submitted some corrections, thanks for making those. The only other thing I noticed was, and it's just a minor thing, is Raymond Roofing was spelled wrong, but just to give them their business some B-R-A-M-A-N. But that's just a minor correction.
Change that before we submit it to Katie for the final upload.
And all the corrections you submitted with, okay, great. Thank you, Josh.
I actually just had to, I submit those now, so they give me access, so I upload them.
Okay, so you can change the spelling there. Thank you.
Yep, I'll change the spelling, yep.
Appreciate it.
So they're already submitted on the,
No,
No.
not yet. I will do that tomorrow.
okay. So do I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, next is visitor comments, and just a reminder, visitor comments are things on the agenda. If you will, when you stand up and give your name and,
Maxine has one thing to say. She'd
Oh.
like to go first, but it's not on the agenda. It's just about the space that they rented.
is that
Is
okay with
everyone
everyone?
okay with that?
Yes, that's fine.
Maxine has another thing to do. Thank you, Maxine.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be a minute. First of all, I wanna thank you for allowing us to use the library. And thank you for your consideration of my request early on when I asked about whether or not we could have a key. And I'm going to ask you to consider that again, because we have a significant number of people that can hardly make it down the hall from the main doorways down to where we're at. And then the other thing I wanted to tell you is that we did do, the unofficial count is 483 taxes, which is a lot. And that was for 2022, and we probably did another 50 that were for prior years. Because people can actually go back for 5 years. So we did well over 500 returns. And then the last thing is again to thank you and tell you how wonderful your staff is. Because they were just amazing. Anytime we had a question or a problem, when we had people yelling us, they were standing around kind of being supportive in case I needed something, and they were just amazing, particularly Jessica. She worked with me just wonderful, and I just wanted you to know that your entire staff is wonderful. So, and thank you again for letting us.
I appreciate hearing your feedback, and we can definitely discuss the key issue again. I think part of that was security.
Yes, and I understand that, but I will tell you that there's 3 of us, only 3 volunteers who did that many taxes, which is pretty amazing. But we're all very cautious because we have people's information. So everything is double checked and checked every single day to make sure that we're secure. Because not only do we lock the doors, but we lock up all of our information. So it's just asking you to consider that for the people that come in. It's more them than it is us. So there were actually a couple of times where I was really worried that they would make it back, or make it down the hallway. And so that's problematic. We always let them go out the other door, but anyways, thank you again for allowing us to use it.
Well, thank you for your business and renting the rooms. That's
Yeah, I know that's helpful
a
to your budget
win-win
too.
for both
Yes.
of us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Any
thank
other
you very
comments
much.
from the board?
Did anybody have a question?
I don't think so.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you again.
Good night.
Maxine, forgive me, for the minutes, she's Maxine,
Vanlerberg, I'm sorry.
can you spell that for the
Yes.
secretary?
VANLERBERG.
Yeah.
And I actually live in this other part of the county and I use the Waldron Library, so,
Nice.
but your library is wonderful.
But you're on the board for Community Foundation, and you're also on the board for the intermediate school district, are you not?
That is correct.
Thank you
And
for your service.
I served 12 years as the director of the Community Action Agency. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other visitor comments?
Well, yeah. Ted, yes, I'd like to thank Trustee Allen for his volumes of emails. He must have spent half his life answering things about the library. Thank you much, sir. And Mr. Palladino, you fall far short of what was required by under FOIA. And as you know, appeal will be made to the council to require you to abide by the rules of FOIA and state law. Thank you.
Mr. Jackson, can I just ask you a question?
Yeah.
So am I understanding right, you directed emails to the 2 gentlemen, but not to Stephanie? I mean, did I miss something that I should have responded to, or did you
No,
not?
no, it's just
Okay,
reference to their
I
emails
was
about
apologizing if
about
that's an
library
email, I'm sorry.
programs.
Okay, thank you for
Yes.
clarifying that. Any other comments, concerns?
I've got one,
Questions?
Jack McLean. So, and I know you can't answer me, but the way it sounded, you did not have the minutes to the meetings, so someone could come in and see them.
Yes, they are behind the desk. If anyone asks for them, we make copies free of charge for
Okay,
it.
so you did have them,
Yes.
starting,
I think it was a couple days before they were due. I think we have 5 business days,
yeah,
to make
okay.
them public, and I think I got them
Okay.
after 3 business
I
days.
guess, and that's great, I ended up spending the $10 and FOIA'd mine, so I had them, yeah, I mean, that's what you gotta do if you wanna know what's going on in the city, seeing as how it's kind of a closed door type thing for some odd reason, I don't know why, unless you don't happen to work when the library's open, otherwise it's a letter, which is $1 by the time you send the letter, or an email if you have email access. I did hear the big speech about the taxation and representation and stuff, and there are people on the board that don't pay taxes. And I don't know if you guys realize that or not. So with that being said, it's kind of so what do? Anyone that rents an apartment or a house doesn't pay taxes in the city. And Stephanie does not own the property in the city, and she does not pay city taxes, right, Stephanie? She can't answer, but that's fine. And I'm sure you guys know all about that, because you investigated. That long speech was like forever at the meeting I went to. And I just wondered why that wasn't brought up. So anyone that's renting has no right to be on the board, according to the taxation and representation part that we heard in the speech. That's just my opinion of it. I mean, if you don't pay city taxes, then you have no right for representation. So, I mean, that's just my opinion of it. So, even if you're the mayor of Hillsdale, or whatever, or city manager, whatever, if you don't own property, you pay no taxes. So, so with that being said, I also do not understand why it seems like we're getting blocked off. Why the public, why it's gotta be such a big deal to post the minutes on the website, the city website, whatever. I mean, I know you guys talk about the law and all this and this section 15.265 and all that baloney. But it also says in there that it, the people should have should be able to make copies, shall be correct minutes available, posted on the sites, and that's not happening. I mean, it might be on your site.
That's time, thank you, Jack.
What's that?
That's time, 3 minutes each for public comment.
I didn't hear anybody say 3 minutes. It's not in the minutes. This thing doesn't say 3 minutes. Nobody said 3 minutes. Are you changing the rules now?
It's always
That's
been
fine.
3 minutes.
It's, yeah.
Where does it say that? Is that in your policies, library policies? Is that where I can find that? I wanna know where I can find it so I can look it up. I'll take your word for it, but I think people should be, there's another good suggestion right there.
Yes.
People are not informed. So I'm just saying that. That would have been nice to know. I would have talked differently about different things. Thank you.
Any other visitor comments? Okay, we'll move on to the visit, or expense and revenue report, and I'll turn it over to our directors.
On our expense and revenue report, just want to note a couple of things. For revenues, line item 271,000-587, local units, culture. That is for our townships. They have been invoiced, so we should be seeing the money within 30 days come in. So hopefully at the next meeting, if not in May, then in June, we should see that. As Maxine stated, they are getting ready to clean up the rooms tomorrow. They should be out, and then after that, they'll get invoiced, so we should see rents for meeting rooms come in. Those were the only items I had to note on revenues. Any questions on revenues before I move into expenditures?
No? No. Okay.
In expenditures, just a couple of things to note. Contractual services, line 801, $410 came out. We had Dean Mortz come, we had some mice here, so that was $125 for him to come out. 119 was for a Canvas subscription, and then the remainder was for our printer lease. And then
Forgive me, what subscription?
our printer and copy
Okay.
machine, fax machine, yep,
Prior to that, did you say Canva?
yes. 930 repairs and maintenance. We had the roof patched, that was $98, and then the remainder of it, the 164.75, we had a leak in the men's bathroom for the handicapped toilet, so the 164.75 was to get that replaced. Just some piping and stuff, not the whole toilet. And then you'll see under the children's area, supplies for summer reading, we had 3/20/11 come out. That money we already got back, that was for the grant money from the community foundation. Any questions on expenditures?
Looks good. We have circulation, all right.
Circulation report, overall, our checkouts went up. Just a few items to note, the board books, had a significant increase, and, the picture books had a slight decrease. Want to note that Hoopla was up quite a bit, or Overdrive was up quite a bit, and we had the addition of Hoopla in the middle of last month. So our patrons who are using it, we're getting a lot of positive feedback on Hoopla. If you haven't checked it out, it's really great.
We're already using it, thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Is that what drove up the, wireless logins figure? Or is that something separate? So I
That
noticed
is
wireless-
something separate. So the
Okay.
wireless logins is anybody who connects to the library's
Yeah,
Wi-Fi,
okay,
which you
that's
don't need to connect to the library's Wi-Fi to access
Yeah.
Hoopla. You can access Hoopla from anywhere.
But yeah, that's one thing that caught my eye,
Mhm.
is the huge jump. It's been 600, 500, 600, then last month it was 1,500, and now it's jumped up to 2,700 in the last month.
It did, yep, so did our patron count, so if you
Yeah.
look at our patron count,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
up
yeah.
almost 1,000, which I think, plays hand in hand with the wireless logins.
Yeah,
Our reference questions were also
Yes.
significantly up, it's been a very busy month for us.
mhm.
We also, had our book and DVD fines, a lot paid off there, and same with our lost and damaged materials, and then we had, a couple large sales for our Amazon, as well. Any questions on the circulation report?
Looking busy.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay, director's reports.
All right. So program stats, a couple of things to note, our attendance for Lego Club went up. We did have that 5th week in March. Worms, we had 5 Thursdays in March. So our attendance for Little Bookworms is the highest that we've had month over month so far, with 148 attendees total.
Her Facebook posts have been great about that, and lots of
Yeah.
The one
moms and
that-
dads and
Very
kids and grandmas.
Yeah.
The one we did today is that train that you see on the window there, and she had, those wooden train whistles that you blow into, and the kids loved that,
Oh, great.
hearing that. And
Oh,
they
that
did a couple
sounds
songs.
dangerous.
It was just one train whistle. Heidi
Okay,
had
only
it in
one
her
whistle.
mailbox. She pulled it out of the mailbox, toot, toot, and back in the
I
mailbox.
was gonna say, we're not.
Train
sending
whistles
those
were not
home,
distributed to all
right?
children.
Like,
Yes.
'cause, oh,
Heidi's
I don't
very
even wanna
wise.
check my email after today then, never mind.
Never
We
mind.
had little ones, but we didn't have enough to go around to everyone, and with COVID germs, we figured
Mhm.
we'll just let Heidi toot the train whistle. Our Mango languages also went up. I think we made a couple extra Facebook posts about that, so that might be what drove that up. And then a couple things to note for our winter reading. Total, we had 39 adults registered, and with the forms that they turned in, that totaled 375 books that the adults read. And then for children, we had 48 children register, and with the forms that they turned in, it came to 195 books that were reported. So, any questions on the program stats?
Yeah, I think, the only thing that caught my eye is I think the spreadsheet is getting the math wrong in a couple of things. On the second page under once a month programs, in the totals line, it looks like it isn't totaling it looks like the totals aren't including afternoon game time
Oh,
at the bottom of those columns.
good catch.
Yeah,
Thanks
so
for
we'll
noticing
wanna
that.
fix that.
Thank you.
And then also the one-time events, that pop-up science club, it didn't make it into the total line.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? Good catch on that, George, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Next is in your report.
Kudos, again, on
Thank you.
the visually appealing and very comprehensible presentation.
I'm hoping that everyone from where everyone is sitting will be able to see the whiteboard. Can everyone at the table see it?
Yes.
We're debating trying to get to the meeting rooms, because those rooms are
Mhm.
darker, and these rooms, we can't close off.
The
Natural
windows,
light.
yes. We could probably hit the overheads. I don't know how much of a difference that would make.
I think once
That's pretty
this-
visible.
Yeah, once
Yeah.
this warms up, I think everyone, can you see it all the way in the back?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen this comprehensive annual report from past directors, so.
Yeah, I was wondering, I was looking back and going, did we do this before? And yeah,
I
so,
started it from scratch, so
well, excellent.
next year will be a lot easier. Just want to talk about our library a little bit on this slide. It has our hours, our location, phone number, website. Also want to point out in the upper right corner, you can see a couple gals working on the community puzzle. We have a community puzzle here that is year-long. Want to talk about some things that the library offers. We have 10 public computers, public access computers, 3 laptops, that can be checked out and used within the library. We have 3 teen computers that have to have permission slips signed by a guardian. We also offer free Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is on 24/7, so anyone who comes after hours can still access it in the parking lot. We have 1 full-time employee, myself, 7 part-time employees, and 5 regular volunteers. We really appreciate our volunteers. They come in, some come in twice a week. We have some that come in once a week. So really appreciate them. We also had a student from Kiops that was here. He was a huge help and he was phenomenal. We enjoyed having Joel. We offer, I talked about earlier, our winter summer reading. We also have a summer reading program that is gearing up both for children and adults. We have 3 meeting room spaces. Maxine, you heard earlier, she rented, the Community Action Agency rented 2. And a 3rd one for a couple of weeks throughout the beginning of February until today. We offer tax forms here. We have the Hillsdale Daily News. Currently we have the Wall Street Journal as well. Here's bulletin board with the Great Start Collaborative that we have. We also have 2 community bulletin boards, another children's one as you enter the children's room. We also offer a safe, warm space for those who don't have anywhere else to go throughout the day. And just a little fun fact, there are more public libraries in the US than there are Starbucks. So,
There's hope, yeah.
and then we have our mission and vision statement. One of our board members want to read them for us? I have it printed out if you guys don't have it.
Yes, I've got it.
Yeah, okay.
Happy to read out the mission. All right. Our mission, Hillsdale Community Library, is dedicated to serving the informational, educational, and recreational needs of the citizens of Hillsdale. As a public agency, the library is maintained as a service to the community and the people who support it. Service of the library is not limited to individuals, but extends to support the civic, educational, and cultural activities of groups and organizations. The library cooperates with other organizations, agencies, and institutions to provide library service.
Thank you. Yeah,
go on, or does somebody else
Someone
want
wanna
to
read
take
the
the turn?
vision?
The vision for this library builds on the strengths and achievements of the past and envisions a future in which the library reflects the changing needs and desires of those who use it and reaches out in a creative way to attract new users. The library provides a welcoming environment to all, makes the best technology available to serve the information needs of the community, and encourages lifelong learning.
Thank you. Oh, you guys don't have to listen to me the whole time. This is a list of our current staff and board members. I think we have a really good team here at the library, as Maxine said, that she really enjoyed everyone here. I think all of the staff members, I can speak for all of us, we truly enjoy coming to work every day. We enjoy the team that we have here and the relationships that we build with the community. Thank you to our board members too, they're all volunteers. Moving right along to revenues, so 54% of our budget comes from local funds. That includes taxes, special acts, delinquent taxes, ordinance fines, and contributions in lieu of tax. Another big part of our budget comes from trusts, donations, endowments, as well as library fees and our Amazon account. Our Amazon account's a small piece of that, but I added it in there with library fees. Our townships, Hillsdale and Jefferson Township, we get $13,800 from them. We get a large portion as well from the copying and faxing that we offer, over $3,000, and we get close to $3,000 in subscription card sales too. So this right here that you see is based on our last fiscal year, which is July 2021 through June 2022. So that's all of the numbers that you see here is based on that last fiscal year. So we did receive just shy of $10,000 in donations, which is absolutely phenomenal. We also have, as you can see moving down, about 10% of our budget was penal fines that we get for the city of Hillsdale, Hillsdale Township, and Jefferson Township, as well as state aid. We get state aid from the residents. It's based on population from the city of Hillsdale, Hillsdale Township, and Jefferson Township. And we also got some grants and money from Woodlands, which is our cooperative last year. Just to name a few grants that we got $15,000 through the My Hope grant that helped with our summer reading program and our children's librarian wages. We also received a grant that helped us purchase makerspace items such as a Cricut, button maker, building planks, and 3D printer. We also got another grant for breakout kits and another one for a performer that came through for our summer reading program last year. So Woodlands, through our cooperative, we got money for an IT grant, an innovative grant, which covered we have event speakers, the book trucks that you see at the back of the room, the projector that we're using, this whiteboard that we're using. We also have 3 projector screens in our meeting rooms, one for each meeting room. So we also got office chairs and some more bookshelves with the grants. So, any questions from the board members as we talk about revenues?
I'm gonna include that breakdown in the minutes. That's not on here, is it?
No.
No, but you
It's-
can attach it to the
Didn't
minutes.
even attempt
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
It's all too on our website. I think if you
Oh,
look
okay.
back in our July minutes, it has the expense and revenue report that went through the whole fiscal year. So
and you can download it and attach it as an appendix or
Yeah.
hyperlink it. Yeah.
Yeah. Our expenses is much simpler than our revenues. We had most of it, 63%, go to salaries and benefits. That also includes like our sick time, vacation time, holiday time, life and health insurance, retirement accounts, workers' comp, unemployment, FICA, and disability insurance. 9% was spent on our collections, which is just shy of $20,000. That includes all of our adult and children's material, books on CDs, playaways, also our subscriptions for the Wall Street Journal and the Hillsdale Daily News. And then 28% is our other operating expenses. That includes supplies to get books ready to put on the shelves, the plastic, the Mylar, the tattle tape that goes inside of it, all that good stuff, office supplies, contractual services, technical services, our internet, our phones, utilities, the gas, the heat, the electricity, some repairs and maintenance, that sort of stuff. Any questions from board members?
Sounds good.
This talks about our collection. We have a total collection of just shy of 83,000 items. 22,000 of it is ebooks through Libby, which Woodlands pays for. Woodlands is our cooperative. We're also partnering, Woodlands is with other cooperatives in the state of Michigan, so we'll see that grow within the next few months to access to more material. Also now we have Hoopla, so that's growing as well. We have nearly 48 at this time, which was last fiscal year, July 2021 through June of 2022, 48,000 print items, 9,000 audio, and over 2,000 in video. We had a total circulation of our library materials to our patrons, just shy of 56,000. 51,000 of it was physical items and just shy of 5,000 was electronic items. That does not include items that we get from other libraries that our patrons check out and that we send to other libraries. You'll see that separately on the right-hand side. We loaned out just shy of 2,000 items to other libraries and we borrowed over 3,000. So,
Is there any sense or breakout, how much of that is Melcat and how much of that is interlibrary loan from out of state?
we do not participate in out-of-state,
Oh, okay,
so all through Melcat.
all right.
I was hoping Jack McLean would stick around for this one. This was good for him. He's asked about this a couple of times. Our patron card holders, last fiscal year, we had 1,655 total card holders, the majority of which are City of Hillsdale residents. About 20% are Jefferson and Hillsdale Township, and then about 9% are subscribers that pay for an actual card. Out of pocket, not out of their tax money. So that is, you'll see on the left side. On the right side, it talks about the items checked out. So 60% of the items that were checked out are from City of Hillsdale residents. About 20% were Jefferson and Hillsdale Township. Just over 9 were subscriptions. We'll see that there is 7.9 not defined. That's something our computer system has us renew everyone's card every year, get updated information. That's a required field now. So hopefully we won't see that next year where there isn't a field in there that says City of Hillsdale, Jefferson Township, Hillsdale Township subscription.
Could you quickly explicate sorry, were you about to say something? Could you quickly explicate the donor/faculty user base?
So faculty is anyone who works here. Donor, this happened back in 2002 when this building was being renovated and built, and anyone who gave a substantial amount of money became grandfathered in as a donor, where they don't have to pay for a subscription.
So, lifelong membership.
Lifelong membership, yeah.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Good question, I didn't realize that.
Any other questions on this before we move on to the next one? Here's a pretty good breakdown that shows how many people came in through our doors. Last fiscal year, we had over 21,000 visitors that came into the library. We answered 1,500 reference questions, had 9,000 Wi-Fi logins, and 2,000 public computer usages. Our website got visited just under 5,000 times, and we reached over 62,000 people on, not people, but just reaches on social media, which is our Facebook and Instagram. Any questions on this? So we had 114 programs for kids, teens, and adults in the last fiscal year with 1,257 program participants. This year, if we remember the program stats that we looked at, we will have over double the amount of programs, and we have already had double the amount of program participants. We're close to 3,200 program participants right now. So we are looking really good compared to last fiscal year. We are also going to be adding, we have a new employee here, Andrea. She is actually yoga certified, and she's almost done with her PT certification. So we are going to be offering additional yoga classes, one for kids and one for adults. So that will be added to our programs as well. And then you might ask what you can do to support the library. If you're not an active patron, we'd love to have you as an active patron. All these beautiful faces here in our board meeting. You guys can attend board meetings. We have a wonderful friends group that raises money and gives back to the library, so you can join the friends group. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, volunteer your time, and attend library events. So thank you all for bearing with me through this long presentation.
Thank you very much for preparing.
Thank you, that was really thorough and informative, I think, for all of us. Any other questions or comments, or? You're right, George, I wondered about what we have done in past Aprils. Usually in the month of April, it's considered our annual meeting, according to our bylaws, and that's usually when we do an annual report. I don't remember anything ever this thorough. I think it was mostly statistics before, and then compilation of revenue and expenses for the year, and also like an election of officers. So that was typically not a lot different from our normal meetings, other than those two things. So this was definitely much more thorough and user friendly. So thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
All right.
It's easy to talk about something when you like it a lot. Moving on with the director's report, we applied for the Dollar General's Youth Literacy Grant. It's about $2,300 to purchase literacy backpacks. The backpacks will be full of learning material such as books, games, and puzzles, geared towards ages 1 through 8. They have different categories with cause and effect, grouping and categorizing, spatial relationships, memory, imagination, social studies, language arts, math, science, social environment. So we're hopeful to see if we get that grant or not. I think that'd be a great addition. A lot of other libraries have the literacy backpacks. They're in a clear backpack. You check out the whole kit, you bring it back. So we're pretty excited about that. We also
know about that?
I think it's June.
Okay.
Yep. And then we'll know about the other Dollar General grant that we applied for in the middle of May. So that was for summer reading program, the kits to help domestic harmony, a couple interns. Yeah, so we'll know about that one in the middle of May. We applied to receive copies of The Firekeeper's Daughter through the Michigan Humanities Great Michigan Read Program. We asked for 20 copies. 2 being large prints. We'll also get reader's guides and 30 bookmarks. The book should arrive in September, and then we'll be asking our book clubs for our 2 library-sponsored book clubs to read those as their November choice. So that one's kind of a guaranteed, we'll get that.
No, is that a historic book, kind of like the one about the UP last year?
I think
that
so.
was
It's very similar to that.
Okay, the mining, copper mining, okay.
Yep. Our program coordinator, Heidi, she went to Mary Randall on March 21st, and she read to the students there. There's a morning class and an afternoon class. And they gave this beautiful thank you card. They put her picture on the front reading to the kids, and they all signed their names. So I just thought that that was so precious and special, and wanted to share that with you
For those
guys.
of you that aren't in the education system, March is reading month, and teachers have mystery readers come in, and Mika had contacted us to see if someone from the library would come in, and they were gracious enough to say yes and go in for a morning and afternoon session, so that was really sweet to have that outreach.
We also, the city of Hillsdale went into Geyer schools, and each department within the city read to the students there, and then they, on Friday, brought their vehicles and trucks and honked the horns, and it was loud. We could hear it from here. It was super special, and we gave all of the books to the different departments. We sifted through our collection and picked out some books for them to take and read. So that was our support with March's Reading
And
Month
the
for
book
them
she
too.
chose, correct me if I'm wrong, related to their
Yes,
jobs
related to
in the
their
city.
department.
You read If I Was a Lineman.
Great collaboration. I think the local kids
Yeah.
learned about different city jobs and occupations.
I don't want to interject, but it happened right after the ice storm, and the linemen, they were like rock stars.
Yes.
Like, the kids had so many questions, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
I
special.
was gonna say, you gotta check out the little people pictures. Sorry. I love when littles draw people. It's the best pictures.
It's very important.
It's like those
Fridge
tadpoles.
worthy. So
Are we going to post this? Or have
I think
it-
Heidi is
that's up to
holding
Heidi.
it near and dear to her heart, and I asked her if I could share it, and she's like, make sure I get it back. So, we just went, Heidi and I went yesterday, and we'll talk about this more next month, but we went to Geyer and read to the second graders. We got the cute little story about Owl and Otter, and they had a garage sale, and how they counted up their money, and they used Otter's toes, and it was really fun that we got to read to them, and the kids were super special and very thankful that we were able to go there to the library and read to them there.
Was that part of the financial literacy
Mhm.
thing?
Yep,
Okay, that was
yep.
another great.
And they received worksheets, and
Okay.
we received copies of the book, and so we packaged them up today to deliver to the other schools in the area too with some worksheets, so.
Good community outreach.
Thank you. Make sure Heidi gets this back. Just as a reminder, the library will open at noon next week, Wednesday. We have an in-house training day. Thank you guys for letting us do that. We'll also be closed May 2nd. Elections will be held here. And then we will be opening at noon the following Tuesday, May 11th. That is the date that the city scheduled our fire suppression repairs for. So they'll come in at 6 a.m. and hopefully be out by noon, and we'll have water and everything running and working.
Not to be that human, but is it the 9th or the 11th?
Sorry, the 9th.
Okay,
The
just,
9th. Thank you. The 11th is our board meeting. That's probably what
Okay.
I was thinking. So, any questions on that?
And I see we've already been posting about not
Yeah.
opening till noon for the day of the in-service, so
Yeah,
I
and it's
assume we'll do
on,
that for the next
it's on the
week.
receipts for, the checkouts, big receipt that you get when you check out a book, and then it's also on our Verso site. And, I think our website just has the 19th on it right now.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to the reconsideration request that we received. Stephanie and I met with the gal who is requesting the reconsideration on March 14th. I felt that the meeting went really well overall. At the end of the meeting though, she did advise that if I didn't do the right thing, what she believes is removing the book, that the silent giant will be awoken, and I'd pay for the decision that I made. That is a little concerning to me. When it was public, the challenge was publicly brought to the board back in February. Before the reconsideration was turned into the library, it was also stated that any adult that would enjoy this should be turned into the authorities, as we have laws against pedophiles. It's pretty heavy because the previous director, the previous children's librarian, a recent board candidate have all been called pedophiles and groomers. And that makes me nervous in my position based on what got said responding to this. I've talked to our city attorney and Mr. Mackey, and now I'm bringing it to you guys as a group that I don't take this lightly. And because it was first brought to the board, because of the things that were said, I'd like the board to consider the board responding as a whole to this particular reconsideration request. I understand and respect that it is my job to respond to these. I plan to in the future. It's just very unsettling to me, the things that have occurred and the red flags that have been presented for me to respond at this point to it. If you guys decide that you want me to, I will hesitantly respond to it, but I'm just asking that the board consider this time looking at this reconsideration request and responding as a board first.
I would motion that the board makes a response to this request without requiring a decision rendered by the director.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, discussion?
Sorry.
Sorry. Any discussion, further discussion?
No.
I would just like to say that I think it's really inappropriate that a director should ever feel challenged or threatened, either personally, professionally, or any other way. And I'm sorry that this has happened, and perhaps as acting president, I'm seeing more of some community feedback, but it seems like every week I am being sent a post that someone posted inappropriately of our past director or children's director that have not been here for 6 months or more, and most recently, really inappropriate posts about Penny Swan and Dan LaRue, the school board candidate that was voted down. I would hope that our community can come together and not be so divisive and so, you know, I know that there are people out there that have agendas, but I also feel that, and I know they don't represent all of us, but I would just really hope that people would be more careful with what they are posting or saying. People's lives and reputations and jobs and personal family lives are at stake here, and I think that some things that are happening are really dividing our community and making it an unfriendly place to be instead of the friendly, welcoming community that it's always been, and I hope this doesn't tarnish our community. Any other comments?
Everyone on this board has children in their lives. Everyone on this board has worked or currently works in some way helping to mold the next generation of people in this community. And frankly, we take this stuff seriously too. So it's just, we take it as seriously. We're, you know, moms and dads and grandmas, and it's disheartening.
I will myself insist, of course, that any debate be on the merits of an individual item or an individual policy at stake, and that nothing be turned into a personal attack against individuals, except insofar as we feel free to openly disagree about matters of policy based on principle.
And I'd just like to remind people that page 70 of our Michigan trustee manual says trustees shall support the efforts of librarians in resisting censorship of library materials by groups or individuals. That being said, we want to hear people's opinions and we want to respect community members as well as our director and talk things through. Any other comments?
Thinking ahead, should this be an item for the board to discuss at the next library board meeting, or how would you guys like to proceed with this?
I was aware that another library wrote into their policy that any book challenges are held in a closed session.
I'm not sure, I feel like I've seen that before, but I'm not sure that's permissible under OMA.
That came from Woodlands Cooperative, a
Okay.
meeting that I attended in March.
Okay. But we would need to look into that. I understand the impulse towards that, but we would need to look into that because the OMA provides very specific exceptions where you can have a closed meeting, and I'm not sure what provision of the OMA would permit that.
Would you like me to reach out to our attorney and see
Yes,
his
please.
feedback on it? And if we could do it in a closed session, do we want to proceed with the closed session? But if we can't, then we'll plan to have it at the next meeting.
Yes,
Does that sound?
I do believe the petitioner or the,
right.
you would have to request it as,
Now,
from your own position, I believe.
Okay, so the person who submitted the reconsideration
yeah,
request.
and
will-
Or you as
yeah,
a
so
matter
the
of
petitioner is still awaiting a response from the staff.
Yeah.
I would just say perhaps to keep things in their proper order, you can respond to the petitioner and say something akin to, given the sensitive nature of this material and the controversy around it, I would prefer to decline to render a decision at this time, but you are free to appeal to the board. And then we've already made the motion that to kind of free you from making that decision. And then it's up to the complainant to decide when and how to reach out to the board to request that we take action.
So we have a motion and a
Yeah,
second.
yeah, so I will make a motion that, we've already made a motion to liberate you from making the decision. I will also make the motion that to proceed, the next thing will be for you to formally and in writing contact the complainant, explaining the circumstances and inviting them to contact the board if they wish to pursue the matter further.
Okay,
So that's the motion.
And do we have a second? Second. Thank you. We've already discussed, the motion's on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? So passed. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Jessica. I know that's been really difficult. Thank you for your director's report. The next item on the agenda is communication.
I don't have anything on my end. I have a Woodlands meeting next week, so, I'll have an update at the May meeting.
I think Stephanie and I both received one email. I don't know if you wanna address that.
And
I was
not
gonna say it's
not
not-
every email sent to a
Yeah.
board member.
Okay.
I think we've probably been overzealous with
Okay.
like oversharing emails people send us. Unless the communication requests that it be read into the
Okay.
minutes at a meeting, I don't think we're required to read everything that's
Okay.
sent. Yeah.
That's fine, and frankly, the email that I received, I did reach back out to the person who had emailed. They had made a very, very vague statement about our collection.
Mhm.
And so I asked them to please follow up with me, give me some more detail, what books
Well, they
specifically are you
referenced
talking
an
about?
attachment. They referenced
Yes,
an
and
attachment.
there was a
with list
reference
of
to an
books.
attachment.
I bet I got the same thing, because this person
Okay.
said, I want to address you about, I think, the above materials.
Yes,
And I
and there was
replied,
no above.
And there
thanks,
was
did you
no.
get this too?
I responded and said I would love to
Yeah,
help you, but I don't.
Okay.
have the
yeah, I don't know what you're
Sorry.
referring to.
So
Please.
we each responded, but none of us heard back.
I didn't hear.
Right.
Yeah, I responded, I didn't hear anything back, no.
Okay,
I didn't
Please, if you
recognize
send
the
us an
name
email
either.
and you
Yeah.
have, give us details too.
Yeah. And if we were,
I'd love to help.
yeah, we're here.
all right, well, I understand it didn't need to be under communications, but at least we're able to communicate. We all
Yes.
got the same email and we
Yes.
responded and did not hear back, so at least that cleared that up, thank you. Next, under, our agenda is old business. There isn't anything on the, under old business, I was just gonna mention that, I should have mentioned that Jessica turned in her self-evaluation as, on deadline, obviously, and I've received several of the board members' evaluations of our director, and when I get all of them, I'll be compiling them and then, coming up with one compilation average, with comments, and then meet with Jessica, so if you haven't turned in your evaluation yet, please do so, and if you already have, thank you. Next is new business.
We received, our IT department reached out to Premier Fire Protection, who they've worked with before, to get a quote from them for our annual sprinkler system inspection and testing. They quoted us $300 a year. We're currently paying $700 a year, with Johnson Controls. So with your guys' approval, we can make the switch to them. This came recommended highly from our IT department.
Okay.
We'll still have to stay with Johnson Controls for our safety system. We've talked about this before with the rooftop units, that they're the only ones who can service those, so.
Very convenient.
That was a good research, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And
So
then
then, do we have to have a vote to move forward with that?
Yeah. I'll entertain
Make a motion.
Second.
Second, all those in favor, any discussion? I think that's since it came so highly recommended by IT, they researched it more than we would have,
And a $400.
and a savings,
Savings.
that sounds like a win-win. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
We received some requests, suggestions, about having, a special meeting, to discuss content in the library. Upon further conversation, maybe a special meeting might not be the best option to go. Maybe we could look at having, maybe a monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly event, that would be like coffee and conversations with the director and just one board member on a rotating basis. That way we don't have an OMA issue with multiple board members there. So wanted to put this out for discussion and see if there's interest in it, what your guys' thoughts are.
I think it sounds like an excellent idea, and I'd absolutely show up to that.
I think it's a great idea, and I know when I went to the Woodlands Cooperative, they had newsletters from other libraries, and other libraries do that, coffee with the director, coffee and conversation, and just discuss, often we have patrons that come in and list some book suggestions or favorite authors, and Jessica researches those, and if they're appropriate for our collection, adds them, but I think something regular that's more than maybe just book suggestions or program suggestions, just kind of hear what the community wants or what are programs or materials that we should be offering. I think we've done a great job with outreach, with adding a lot of new programs, as we saw in the annual report, but there's always things out there that were, that could be added, so I think that's a great suggestion.
How often would you guys want to see this? Monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly?
I think we could, if we're rotating just one of us at a time,
Twice a year.
monthly,
Well, once for the
yeah,
full board.
yeah, for the full board, that should be
And I'm
perfectly
thinking like
doable.
alternating times, like one in the afternoon and then the next time in an evening, so people that have different work schedules
Yeah.
and daycare situations.
Yeah, depending on whose month it is, yeah, you just reach out, we'll just get on a rotation, reach out to us individually, and whoever's month it is, we'll work out when works best for
I
us.
don't know if that confuses
Yeah.
it, having it at different times, I'm just trying to reach.
I
as
think
many
we
people as
can post it and announce it
Yeah.
well ahead of
We
time.
could put it on an
Yeah.
event calendar, and
Yeah,
is everyone in favor of that? Who wants to?
have we had a
come?
motion?
Do we need a motion?
I think so, we're instituting something new. I will move to institute a monthly coffee and conversation with the director and one rotating board member.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
I would like to go first, and we can start it next month. Okay. It'd be
Sorry,
May.
yeah, May's
Okay,
a
who
tough
wants to
month
go
for me,
first?
Sorry.
May?
Oh, May? Do we just wanna go alphabetically by last name? So I'll
Okay.
start in May.
I had to think for a second if we were going alphabetically, and I was
Right.
like, is he throwing himself under the bus,
No.
or is he
Well,
saving himself from the bus? Wait a second, what's
that
George's last
depends,
name?
that depends on what the bus is in this case, I suppose.
Bad coffee.
Thank you.
Now,
Good suggestion.
that is, actually, no, where is the coffee going to come from? Because this is important.
Well, I haven't talked to our friends group yet, but I thought maybe our friends group would, like to help with it. Maybe we could get something from Tracker Records,
I
or
was
we
going to
have
say,
a
we have several
Keurig, or-
excellent local sources,
Yeah.
so,
No Keurig.
No
I'll
Keurig.
bring the espresso machine. I'll be the barista.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You can cater on your month, I'm not catering.
Everyone shows up to Josh's.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
for the
they're going
release
to.
stuff.
I don't know. Someone might come in with treats and then they're,
And we're doomed.
Okay, next is general board comments, anything that we didn't cover or you want to bring to the rest of the group's attention?
I suppose, since it came up in the meeting, it should be addressed, and so you know that, Mr. Jensen did request via FOIA copies of all my communications regarding board business. So if it happens to come up
Mr.
that, Mr. Ted Jensen,
Okay,
yes. So if it happens to come up that we, if you happen to see communications between us floating around, it's because that was requested and provided via FOIA. From the
was
city.
anyone else for you?
Yeah, I
Should be
was,
aware
I think we both sent about 300 emails, something
I,
like
I,
that.
I didn't count them.
Yeah.
Do we seriously have like 300 emails?
Almost certainly far more than that.
Oh,
Yeah.
my lord.
It was quite a bit. The one thing I would like just the public to understand, this is not something I understood when FOIA started.
Yeah.
If you are, emailing me, the interpretation of the FOIA by the courts is that even if you're revealing personal information about your own opinions regarding the library, that can be disclosed to the public. So I don't know if a lot of people know that, and I was sort of saying, we should maybe protect private information. Some people were bringing out what I thought were fairly personal stories, and I was asking for them to be redacted, even just names. So just keep that in mind when you're sending emails, that it is a very
And FOIA,
broad
Yeah.
interpretation of FOIA. I don't think FOIA actually says that, but that's
Yeah,
how they're
well,
interpreting it, so.
that's what we were advised by the city, is that technically, if one of us sends an email to the mayor or a councilman or a member of the board, and they reply and a conversation ensues about some issue, that can potentially be considered part of the public record, because we were addressed in our capacity. And there are those who disagree with that interpretation of the statute. And there have been a few court cases just in the last year with conflicting findings. But just so you know, and members of the public know, and anybody who watches this or hears about this knows, anytime you contact one of your elected representatives, including the mayor or a councilman or a board member on any board, somebody could potentially find that based on the way the law is currently written, so.
And
Just so you know.
particularly if you have private information, just address it, hi Josh, here's my number, can you give me a call?
Yeah.
And we can meet or
If there's
talk about it
anything
over the
sensitive
phone.
that you don't want somebody else to eventually read, don't commit it to writing.
Mr.
This is-
Palladino, I only got about 30 emails from you, it wasn't 300.
Then Mr. Mackey didn't send them to you.
You'll have to address that up with Mr. Palladino outside the meeting.
So does that, okay, because I've never been FOIA'd, is that emails, texts, anything?
Emails.
Just
It
emails?
And so depending on what you get hit with, I'm not gonna get into the details of the process I went
Okay.
through, I'm not sure it would be appropriate. It depends on the nature of the request, and I'd strongly advise, if anybody here gets FOIA'd, that they approach Mr. Mackey and one of the city attorneys to receive guidance on how to proceed.
sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so I haven't been FOIA'd for this, for any of the board stuff or any of my other city business. But in the working world, I have been, and, it's very specific, so
Like dates?
it could be by dates, it could be specifically by topic, because nobody wants to see my entire inbox, like that would be, but it's, you know, emails pertaining to this specific topic, or emails between these specific people, or emails from this date to this date regarding those specific topics.
That is correct. I've been
Um,
FOIA twice, so
just
I'm very familiar with it.
so that the board is aware as well, we had to do this on, you know, personal time.
Yeah.
So, you're unpaid, but you're basically conscripted by the city to do this work. So I will be requesting at the next city council meeting that we don't receive any more personal communications, that we have a city inbox, and that the city, because technically under city law, there is no ability for them to ask anybody except staff to find their emails. You know?
I will say that Woodlands has an option, I don't know if this was talked about before, I know when I came, Jim had mentioned something about putting in the budget for all board members to have a specific email, and I think we talked about it at one point, and everyone said that they were comfortable using the email that they had. Woodlands, I believe, on the handout that you had given me, and they recently
Oh,
sent
okay.
out an updated one of the
For
benefits.
services and benefits,
Yes,
right.
and on there, they can offer, like library staff and library board emails. So I think that would be a good option
And-
if
and
we
then
wanted to look into that.
Yeah, and then if anybody wants to, as is their right under the law, view a record of business that occurs in writing between board members, and they want to submit that to the city FOIA coordinator, who's Mr. Mackey, he can turn around. Now, theoretically, then you, as a city employee,
I'd have to double check
right,
that.
yeah, check to see if you can be our designated person with Woodlands, because theoretically, if anyone's doing the work of compiling these records, it should be on paid time.
Right, yeah, under city law, there is no ability for Mackey to ask a private board member
Right.
in their capacity. It
No.
says city staff, so, but the only way to make that happen if you're using private email, of
Is for the
course,
city staff to turn around and ask us
to have
for what
access
they need.
to all of
Yeah.
our emails so they can do the search. Otherwise, you're in this situation where if you do that, you have to, you know, your emails from your doctor and your
Yeah.
pastor
Right.
are also in that inbox.
Or you're doing it on your own time,
Or you're
because
doing it on
you're
your
the
own
only
time.
one capable of vetting your own messages.
Which, once again, is not
Right.
technically allowed under city law, so,
Yeah.
I
yes,
was
we
gonna
need to
say,
get
and
that.
vetting your own messages, just, I'm sorry, this is getting into a whole philosophical debate,
No,
but
it's very
vetting your
important,
own
because-
FOIA
yeah.
feels squicky.
And
Like-
It's not allowed.
believe me, I had lots of questions, and not all of them have been satisfactorily
It
answered.
also makes me feel icky having access to everyone's
Yeah,
email too.
but
That-
theoretically, if we have
Sorry, I
shared,
get so much junk mail.
if we have shared
Sorry.
official emails, and I would love to recur to this question, and it wasn't on the agenda, but maybe we should put it on the agenda next time to revisit this question, but if Woodlands can offer this,
Yeah.
that would be great,
I'll
and then
check
we
with
can
Kate.
tell Woodlands, the director as administrative officer and city employee has access, these are all official communications, we should only be receiving official communications. And then anytime somebody has a request, you can, you know, you should be able to just compile those and share them at a click, or at a few clicks.
You could have the board member come in, but the problem is that it says city staff must perform the search, and
Yeah.
none of us are staff, I
Right.
don't think, so.
Yeah,
We could come in
squishy.
with you and observe it, but I really think that you need to have, or
Or,
Dave Mackey needs to have access to all
Yeah.
of them.
yeah, because,
Just cause I just don't wanna take the time, it
Yeah,
took me
and-
hours to figure out how to
Yeah.
download these things.
yeah, it's because you need Acrobat on your computer. Just PDF.
I thought I had that
Then
Woodlands
that
list
put
of
hours of work
services.
on me, hello?
Right, and then,
Weren't we
You-
just talking
you-
about
you
how
get
you need
comp,
vacation
though.
Right,
compensation
but-
and
that would be pay time for you.
You get,
theoretically.
Salaried.
Salaried, oh no,
no, it
you're
does
right.
say you can calculate additional labor costs, and I'm gonna be bringing it
Oh,
before
yeah,
the
so the question is,
council.
can a salaried employee of the city calculate additional labor
I
costs?
think we need to change it so that they can, it's not
Mm.
gonna be a lot, because it's the lowest paid city
Right.
employee, so you're gonna be getting $10 an hour, but this is crazy to not get
Yeah.
any additional,
Yeah.
um,
And then, just so everybody hears a little more about this process, since it's come up, we have to compile everything that we believe falls within the parameters provided. We give it to the city manager, who's the designated FOIA coordinator, and technically, then he has to vet the materials to make sure nothing that ought to be redacted is being passed along. So there's kind of a two-layer process to it. Yeah.
All right. Next on the agenda is any other board comments?
Just to lighten the mood a little bit, I
Oh.
do pay taxes. Like, I'm sorry, that was at the beginning. I do.
I did not, yeah, I did not follow that.
In case anyone is curious, if you are a renter, which I am a renter, there is a housing crisis in the city. So I am a renter, but if you are a renter, you do pay property taxes. It's included into your
Forwarded
rent.
into your
It's-
rent.
Yeah.
Right.
My
And-
landlords are wonderful. If anybody's looking for a rental management company, I would highly, highly recommend them, but they're not so generous as to let me get away with not paying the property taxes
Yes.
on my
it's
home.
also the
So,
charter says you have to have an address in the city, it has to be your
A
permanent
residence.
address. You have
The
to be
charter
a
itself does
resident.
not specify a tax-paying resident.
It does in certain provisions, but not.
But not in
for this.
eligibility
That's-
for the board.
but
Yeah.
renters
But
do pay taxes.
do pay their property taxes, yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is future business, and we always just have kept a placeholder on there for reviewing some more policies until we were kind of holding up on that till we got a fifth board member, so we,
And
And
until I can put some more time back in my day.
Yeah.
and obviously Jessica's been very busy with the annual report and budgets and everything else, and so, and training the new
Training
staff
staff,
that we've had on board, and looking ahead to summer reading, so, you gave us information on some trustee training.
Yeah, so when we have our full 5-person board, I'd like to bring in a couple people depending on when we have a full board, if we have a full board, and seeing if it still works with, a couple people that I have in mind to do some trustee training out of the trustee manual and, some other people that help with the trustee roundtables, so.
And next week, you might wanna mention advocacy, legislative advocacy day for funding.
Yep, so at, Woodlands next week, they have their Woodlands Advocacy, it's bi-monthly. So they have a guest speaker, coming in the morning, and then we'll have our regular, Woodlands meeting, and I can't remember who the guest speaker is right now, but usually they're really good.
But there's an advocacy day in Lansing, right?
Oh,
Or is it-
that'll be April 25th, and I don't know if I can swing it with the staff.
Okay.
Yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I schedule myself for the front desk, so it's hard for me to get away on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
All right, thank you. Are we still doing visitor comments again at the end?
It's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda?
Yeah.
I think
No.
that was just a
Yeah.
special thing
Okay.
for the last meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, the next meeting will be May 11th at 5 PM, and I'll call the meeting adjourned, or now we have a motion to adjourn, I should say.
So moved. A second.
Thank you. Thank everyone for coming. We appreciate your attendance and input. If you have any questions or concerns or want to talk to any one of us one-on-one, you're welcome to do that.
I'm guessing it's just something weird.